I made sales. That's irrelevant to how your business is doing if you're spending more money on your costs.
Are you gonna, now's the time where you creep in closely and slowly to
Trevor, oh my gosh.
Welcome to Simple Sense for Small Business. I'm Linda Ray, and I'm here today. Oh my gosh, this is such an honor with Barbara Weltman. If you don't know Barbara, you're gonna know her today because she's the author of over 100 books. She is a prolific author of J.K. Lasser's Small Business Taxes, Guide to Self-Employment, Smooth Failing, which I just think this title is absolutely brilliant. And I've known Barbara for 20 years. We used to network in Westchester County, New York with the Business Council of Westchester. I've been to your house. Trevor is the guy that I live with. When he found out we knew each other, he went bananas. He was like, "You know Barbara?" I was like, yeah, we used to hang out. I've been to her house for dinner. I would help Malcolm, with some life insurance at the time. And he just went crazy. I have my own little project about business mistakes. So this was a keen aspect of wanting to have you in today. So thank you, Barbara. Please share everything and anything you'd love to share with everybody.
Well, let me tell you where that book came from. The book came from my life experience, which was I've tried and failed in a number of ventures and a number of activities, and I'm entrepreneurial, but I think by definition you expect to fail somewhat. The small business community in this country is kind of small, and I know a lot of people in a lot of good places. And for over 10 years, I had a radio show, and I had tons of guests on my radio show from people in Congress, people in government, people in industry, professionals, and just struggling business owners. And so I heard so many stories, and I just thought it would be great to share.
So the radio show, that must have been incredible to have all of these people on that are small business related. Is that?
Yeah. Kevin Brady, who came off of being head of Ways and Means, was on several times. Representative Brady from Texas. So he was on because he is a small business owner. Fran Tarkenton on, he was a small business owner as well. And then I had head of SBA, and it was a weekly grind, and kind of I was tied to doing it. And after 10 years, that was kind of it.
Do you have a favorite guest, or do you have not maybe a favorite guest, because you probably have favorite guests for different reasons? Do you have any?
That was the thing. I had different people shared different experiences. This is going back. I had someone who went through Katrina, and he shared his experiences and then his subsequent experiences and what he had learned going through that. And I can tell you, looking forward, it was always a great time. And most guests, other than one, I had one guest who gave one-word answers.
Oh, really?
And you must know what that's like if you're doing a podcast and you ask a question and somebody says yes. And that's it. But I said one guest in 10 years that did that. Other than that, guests usually I would just get them started, and they would share really great information.
That's why I try to prepare ahead of time with questions just in case, or to at least start the conversation, and then however it organically goes. This question I didn't have pre-planned, or maybe I did, I don't even remember, but is there any particular topic that you found that small businesses gravitate as the most challenging? Because you're an attorney and a tax attorney.
There isn't one particular thing, because I do hear from small business owners across the country, and they raise multiple questions. A lot of the questions come up with working with others, their partners. And that's a biggie for a lot of people, and especially with respect to co-owners. A lot of times it works out great, but a lot of times there's friction. And how do you resolve it? And what do you do? And from a legal point of view, from a practical point of view. And so that comes up a lot.
Let's refer to this now. Number one, I have experience with working with others, just like everybody else, whether you own the business or work in a business. In the book, the second one, I believe, Yeah, make sure your goals align with your investors. So this was Gary Hoover. He had started the Bookstop, and Bookstop was bought by Barnes and Noble. He got fired in a board meeting unexpectedly. What are some of the things that you need to protect yourself?
He's actually a professor in Austin these days. So
oh wow,
he's still doing very well. It raises an initial question. When you are starting a business or when you are growing your business, you have to decide, do you want to go the equity route or the debt route? If you want to borrow money, you really don't have these relationship issues. Basically, it's a finite kind of arrangement. As long as you meet the terms, you pay back the loan, you can manage those kinds of things. It's coming to an end. Versus if you take in investors, equity. So many people go the equity route because it doesn't cost you anything other than sharing ownership. It's not like you have to make a repayment. There's no demand on cash flow. There are a lot of positives to it. You have to really watch who's becoming your partner, because even if it's a minority owner who may not have a lot of legal rights, they can't demand that you make distributions. They can't demand certain things, but they can be very annoying and take up a lot of your time and be totally distracting and not helpful for your business.
I'm glad you brought this up, because part of the reason why I have put together this project about small business mistakes is because before COVID, Trevor and I had started a business financing for those business owners who needed equity or working capital, and they wanted to borrow the money. How are you going to get any investors when you don't even know what your business is doing, or you haven't forecasted, or you haven't planned and projected and strategized to make it kind of juicy for an investor to even want to invest in your business?
It's really inexcusable these days. I mean, everybody has QuickBooks or some other software or cloud solution to manage your income and expenses, and you don't have to be a numbers person, or you don't need to know anything about accounting to just put in your income, put in your expenses, and those things, you just press a button and you can get all kinds of forecasting and other financial information that lenders or investors would want to see. So many people say, well, I made sales. That's irrelevant to how your business is doing. If you're spending more money on your costs, you're not making money no matter how good your sales are.
You have to do better. You have to be smarter than the SBA, because they're not looking to make this easy on you. Maybe not on purpose, but there's no training and leadership there, which we may or may not get into that, since you have interviewed the SBA on your radio show. But before we do that,
sorry, that was me creeping the way Vikings creep.
This hat has gotten a lot of play in our house.
This is me and Barbara time.
He is a big fan.
Stop talking.
Okay.
This is like if I met Jimmy Page. When Linda said that you were coming on the show, I lost my brains, which is why the hat is on. Because
and how did you find me?
Well, when I was a mortgage banker, long before I met Linda, for some reason I found you and started subscribing to your email. And I'm still a subscriber to this day. I have been reading and recommending J.K. Lasser's Your Income Tax for the better part of 30 plus years. My business primarily was first-time home buyers, and I would say to them two things when you buy your house. Number one, go out and buy a good term life insurance policy to protect yourself and your family. And number two, go to Barnes & Noble and buy J.K. Lasser's Your Income Tax and learn it and read it. Right. My timing of walking in when you're talking about business owners and their silliness about their paperwork is perfect, because as a 30-year veteran lender, when we started our little commercial financing brokerage, first of all, the small business owners who did not understand basics about what's a P&L.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But then also dealing with the banks. Yeah. The banks are a nightmare too. The banks do not want to lend small business owners money. So when I came into the commercial lending side in 2018-19, I thought, okay, well, banks understand business.
So say goodbye.
Wait, that's it? I got to go grocery shopping now?
Yes.
You're throwing me off.
Yes, I am. Bye-bye.
We'll see if we have time at the end.
Yeah. He's going shopping. I hate shopping. So I saw with Trevor when he was talking about the banks and that they don't want to lend small business. Do you agree or disagree, or do you care to not comment at all?
There are two things that when it comes to lending to small business, and each bank, they have their own definition of what's small, and it's based on the size of the loan that you're asking for. So if you're asking for, let's say, $10,000, they will make a lending decision they put in the numbers. That's it. They don't even know you. They don't see your face. It's like just a numbers thing. So the whole thought that, back in the day, you'd go, like It's a Wonderful Life, where you'd go in and sit down and the banker would trust you and know you and have confidence in you. That's irrelevant for small business loans.
Yeah.
That's nothing. But the good news for small businesses is that there are a number of alternative sites where you can get money, where you can borrow money. There are also alternative kinds of lending, which I don't think are great because the cost is very high, like your credit card charges and things like that, because the cost is exorbitant. But the point is that there are a lot of options, and it's just that the bank on the corner isn't your only option.
Correct. And which is how our business was kind of birthed as an idea, because exactly what you're saying. We had a neighbor down the street that went to his bank of 30 years
they don't, it doesn't matter.
And he was like, okay, he went golfing with the guy, and lunches. And then all of a sudden, when it came to he needed $500,000 to buy another business, the banker was like, good news, you're approved, 50 grand. And he was like, what? I think you forgot a zero. And they couldn't do it. And he had to go get a private investor. But yeah, so we decided that we built a matrix of lenders and had different ways to get different kinds of monies depending on what you needed the money for and what type of business you had and what your assets could lend. Well, we did talk about the different types, and you said working with others. So I don't know if this is going to lend to as a nice segue, but what do you think is the number one mistake that business owners make? Do you feel there is one, or since you do have a book with like 10 of them?
Yeah, that's it. And I probably made them all. So, that's for
Who
sure.
hasn't, right?
But, exactly. And that's kind of life. And the whole purpose of the book is other people have made the mistakes. You don't have to do it too. Read the book and don't make this mistake kind of thing. To use the old phrase, penny wise, pound foolish. They don't go to professionals because they think it costs too much. For example, they won't use an accountant, or they don't go to a lawyer. But the money that you save in the penalties, mistakes, it's so cheap to pay the professional fees versus what it'll cost you if you don't.
And to compound this problem that you talked about, that maybe they don't even hire a CPA because they think they can't afford it. Or they hire a CPA and they're not actually managing the CPA, or they don't know what the CPA is doing, or they don't know how to know what is involved with the process and trust.
With respect to my J.K. Lasser Small Business Taxes book, 90% of small business owners do use tax professionals. Either they use just preparers for their returns, or they use CPAs for tax advice. But the point of the book is you're the small business owner. You have to make decisions, and you have to understand the tax implications, and you have to be able to ask your professional the right questions. And if you know the right questions to ask, first of all, you're going to cut down in your costs considerably. And second of all, you're not going to make mistakes along the way. You're going to know what it means, the difference between hiring an employee or using an independent contractor. I mean, you have to know what that is and what the implications are from a legal point of view, from a tax point of view, and so on. That's why I write these books. I just try to share this information, that this is not secret information, but so many people don't know it.
Well, this is one of the reasons why I put this banner up. You've been named as one of the top 100 small business influencers in the country. One of the things that we found when we started working with business owners for the business loan process, that's when we started our YouTube channel on September 2019, and we had Finance Fridays and If Then Thursday. Of course, nobody watched because who knows us, and also I wasn't really getting the YouTube formula correct. But then when the COVID hit and we started ranking on YouTube and Google, and that's how we kind of acquired over 500 clients. And every single, I don't know if there's one client that presented the mistakes that we had to fix that we didn't do a video about it. We really were happy to be able to assist the way we were, because at least you're an influencer that people watch and they read and they listen. And that's fantastic, and perhaps have avoided some of the problems that we saw. So that's why actually I started interviewing people in the small business realm, so that maybe they can just hear it differently than Trevor and I bantering about it. Okay, so we talked about working with others as a common challenge, not really a number one mistake, but one thing that you've seen is that the numbers usually would trip people up. I've seen that where people, if I say, hey, what do you want to talk about the most? They're like budgeting, cash flow, accounting. You had mentioned that that's like there's a lot of solutions that ease the way for you to at least have more of a purview of these things. But now, is there a number one tip besides all the things that you mentioned, which are tips in and of themselves? But do you have anything that's like some of the problems that most business owners face? What do you think?
I don't think I could narrow it down to one, but I'll throw out a couple. I think the problem for many small business, you don't know what you don't know. You say, gee, I don't know how to do cash forecasting, but you don't know how to do it. You can go find a solution in 2 seconds. I mean, it's not hard. There are templates. There are other people to help you. So one of the things I think is really important is to stay connected. What's happening in your community, to know what's going on, because things happen that will impact your business. So I think staying connected, you and I met in a networking group, and you learn so much from that, from hearing other people's experiences. So that's one thing. The other is, I think, because you're a small business, you don't have a legal department. You don't have a marketing department. You don't have all these separate departments. You have to kind of cobble together all these different needs. And so you kind of need to assemble a team. We're coming up to the Super Bowl, and you're the small business owner, you're the quarterback. I know for me, for example, I have a great outside IT company. So if something goes wrong on my website or anything, I just call them up. They can either get it remotely, they can come over, whatever needs to be done. So you need to have a team of professionals that you can turn to immediately for anything that comes up. And I think you need to have all of these resources assembled before the crisis hits. So put this together, then you're ready to go when you need it.
You are speaking my language. And it's no coincidence that the first mistake in here talks about how aspiring entrepreneur was struggling with, how is my business not scaling to sell? And she watched TechCrunch and other big companies buy other smaller companies. And she's like, what am I doing wrong? And she then hired an IT company for SEO and other website traffic analytic kinds of activities and tactics. Part of the inspiration of my Biz Glitch project was a daily glitch, aka a mistake. And one of the things that was so inspiring all these years is knowing that you had a small business idea of the day. And you've had that going now
20 years.
20?
Oh, almost 20, about 20 years. I have an idea of the day. I have an email list, so it gets mailed out to my list every morning. It's 2 sentences with some resource attached to help you. It could be just a filing reminder. It could be a new law, a mistake that some other business owner made. So it goes out to my list, and then it's on my website, and I have the archives there too.
You have a book that's 500 plus ideas.
Oh, right. I put together, I self-published an ebook on Amazon, 500 plus ideas.
Yeah. So
which some of it I took from my idea of the day that I've used, and others, but I kind of put them into categories that could help people, like dealing with technology, dealing with your employees, dealing with your finances.
Well, all the links are going to be in the description of the video and the show notes of the podcast. You have down there the smooth failing link. There's going to be your link, Barbara, to your Amazon store, and also a link to your website where you can sign up for the idea of the day. So all those links are provided here already.
I'm giving away a freebie for signing up. It's a white paper on surviving recession, what to do to prepare or forbear through recession.
That is amazing. So if you're listening, today is February 8th, 2023. So you better get over there, and I'm going to be tweeting this out and publishing it everywhere, promoting that you're giving away a freebie. So that's amazing. That's very generous of you, because you're not only the thought leadership, but your insights are invaluable. Please tell people how to find you and where to go and anything you want to share as far as parting words.
Well, I do want to mention that I post 2 blogs every week on my website. I have guest bloggers that do post. So I have some guest bloggers too. And everything is accumulated in a month in Big Ideas for Small Business newsletter every month. So that goes out. And that also contains links to all the other places I write about. That contains kind of a synopsis of what I've done for the month, which I do a lot. And the best place to start is on my website, bigideasforsmallbusiness.com. And through there, you can find my LinkedIn, my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I think that's really the best place to start.
And this is all free too.
I had a good life as an attorney. And when I closed my practice, this is what I decided to do, that I would share my information. I do sell books and do continuing ed courses. And I just think that's what you do in life. You learn and then you give back.
Well, it's been a privilege to know you and an honor and to be
fun. We've had so much fun.
We've laughed over some stuff.
Yes.
Over the years. And I think it's amazing that you have probably saved the sanity of thousands and thousands of business owners, and also this book and all the other books that covered so many aspects of running a business. I want to thank you so much, and I hope we can do this again some other time.
Yeah, for sure. Let's do it again and see what's happened in the world and how that's impacted small business.
Well, thank you so much, Barbara. And we will see you again, and we're going to keep in touch and not let so much time go by. So
yes.
Appreciate you so much.